Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to another round of Battlefield 6 leaks. These ones are coming out of the Battlefield 2043 Discord. They come from a guy called Shumi, and he's got some news on the server browser for the new game. Some references have been found to certain filters and stuff like that, and so people have been wondering, is there going to be a server browser for the base game, or is it going to be Portal only? Then we've got some pretty big finds on Levolution, which strongly suggests that that is going to be a feature in Battlefield 6. And then finally, some details on the cosmetics or the skins of the game, what kind of things we're going to be able to equip, where on the body, and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's just jump straight in. As always though, if you guys do enjoy the content here on the channel, make sure that you are subbed up so you don't miss out on any future videos. There's going to be a lot of Battlefield content to come here over the next year or so, guys. And I know a lot of you who regularly watch the channel may not actually be subbed because you just get these recommended to you. So it would really mean the world to me if you guys can just check down below and hit that sub button if you enjoy the content. Okay, so let's just rip off the band-aid here, okay guys, because I know most of you out there have been really crossing your fingers that DICE and EA would finally come around and put a server browser in the game. Now, we've already found references, as I mentioned, to various filters that allow you to search in the game, and that is what led the community to really believe that a server browser was indeed going to be part of it. However, as we know, Portal in 2042 also had a server browser, so is this simply going to be part of Portal 2.0 and not the base game? And well, this is what Shumi had to say on it. He says, I checked every playtest reference, link, and related parts of the UI pointing from the existing server browser to something or vice versa. For now, it's a Portal feature like in 2042 and not part of the main multiplayer section. No matter if you look at sorting mechanisms that rely on Portal server links, UI setups, which is still Portal, or even naming of elements. So it does indeed look like the server browser is only going to be a Portal feature. I know that's a big letdown for a lot of people. The other day we were discussing skill-based matchmaking, some references to certain metrics within the game that allow the matchmaking system to find you a game, skill-based metrics such as skill per minute or win-loss ratio. Those kind of pointed us in the direction that skill-based matchmaking was going to be in the game, and then the lead producer David Serlin chimed in, and he sort of pointed out that skill-based matchmaking is in the game, but it's not going to be anywhere near as aggressive as it is in Call of Duty, and indeed that it already exists in other Battlefield games like 2042 as well. However, that would also mean that having skill-based matchmaking pretty much confirms that there isn't going to be a server browser, because if you've got a server browser, that is pretty much like the best guarantee that you can get that skill-based matchmaking doesn't exist in the game, and the only thing that is going on there is team balancing. So I think this statement here from Shumi, along with that, is pretty much a 99% truth now, that the base game at least, is not going to have a server browser. So, bit of a bummer there, but as long as the actual basic game is a good and enjoyable experience, for me at least, I feel like that is still the thing that matters the most. Moving on, let's take a look at the Levolution stuff that he's found here. So he says some maps feature a gameplay layer called key events. So for Battery, so that is actually the map in Gibraltar that we saw in the second Battlefield Labs playtest, there is a key event here called Artillery Strike. Now that's particularly interesting because I actually saw in a little leaked snippet on Reddit, and maybe some of you guys saw this as well, something that looked very much like an artillery strike, and I assumed that it was one of the new mines which launches up in the air and does a top-down attack on enemy armor on the Russian side. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe this actually was an artillery strike coming in then. Then for the next map, Capstone, we haven't seen any footage of this one, but these are some of the references he's found. So landslide, start, temporary, and then end. So it does seem like that map is going to have some sort of a landslide Levolution event. Then we've got Aftermath. And for this one, we've got central building collapse east and west. So maybe this is the thought process I have with this one is that it's going to be like a large building, and maybe one side of it can collapse or the other side can collapse, or perhaps it's two separate buildings, and I think that's more likely, one in the east side and one in the west, and they're both collapsible. So it's not like maybe a major map-changing Levolution event, but it's still a building that you could take cover in. Perhaps it even has an objective in there, like a flag, and you can collapse the entire thing. Now, there are some references here to the Abbasid map, which is the first one that we saw and the only official footage that DICE have released, but it just says empty. So there are some references there for some reason, but it looks like there is no Levolution event set there, so whether one is going to come to that map or not, I guess we'll have to see. And he says currently everything is set to 0, and this could mean that it's unfinished, it's not beneficial for an early playtest, or it's reserved for marketing, and you can bet your ass that DICE and EA are going to use some of these big Levolution events in their marketing trailers. And then we have some more key events that he found that don't have actual map links, so these events are not linked to any specific map in the playtest, and they could, as he states, also be from the campaign level, so not all of these have to be from multiplayer. So we've got Pipeline Explosion, Shockwave, Small and Normal, that's pretty self-explanatory. Then we've got a Tunnel Flooding here, Low and High states for the water most likely. Tower 1, that could really mean anything, maybe it's a tower collapsing, maybe something else. Some sort of a power failure here, and then we have... These are all for the BR, right? The ones it says with BR in bracket. So this is research and development hazard. So research and development is one that has been confirmed as one area of the Granite Battle Royale map. Then we have another area, the Marina, that can be flooded. Tech, I forget exactly what that is, probably some sort of technical building. It looks like there's going to be an explosion there. And then some storage area, there's going to be a fire. And then we've got Shrink Ring, which would strongly suggest that just like the Battlefield 5 BR, Firestorm, we are going to see a shrinking ring of perhaps fire, maybe something else. Now these last two have the suffix of SP denoting single player. What GHOL or BDAM means, maybe it's something to do with a dam, I don't know. I'd really just be guessing, to be honest, at this point, guys. But it looks like there are some sort of events planned for the single player too. And he says events are triggered by an activation mechanic, so either by player, which seems to require one or more specific locations or trigger points, which we've of course already seen in Battlefield 4 before, or by chance, so frequency, probably adjustable via the server-side values, just like the Tornado in 2042. And they can have up to 3 different states or variations. So that sounds pretty interesting, actually. I know Levolution is one of those things that was added to the game that hasn't necessarily like improved a lot of the map design. If we go and take Siege of Shanghai, it's widely thought in the community that once the central skyscraper building on the C flag comes down, that the map simply plays worse. And so what we saw is server admins actually banning people from destroying the central building there, or maybe delaying the destroying of it somehow, because people would just basically rush straight to the building, take out the pillars at the bottom, and instantaneously collapse it, which basically meant that a lot of games, you didn't even get to play in the building at all, because it was just instantly taken down. So, since it seems some of these are going to be player controlled, I hope DICE have thought about that, so they're not going to be like too frequent or happen too early on in the round. As for how it's going to affect the map design, that's really down to DICE to consider all the different possibilities. They can be a bit hit and miss with map design. Some of their maps are really, really good in the past. Some of them, not so much. So who knows how that's going to play out. But I'm having my fingers crossed for this one. If nothing else, I think some of these events are going to be pretty epic, especially, you know, considering the awesome destruction that we've already seen on display so far. Then finally here, we have some more information about cosmetics and skins in the game. So these are soldier customizations based on metadata, definition slots, UI, and then unlock criteria files. So we've got primary customization slots for the head, the torso, and then the legs and the hands. I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but in Battlefield 2042, and I mainly don't know this because I don't really mess around with cosmetics too much, I think you could independently change the torso and the legs, or the head and the torso and the rest of the body. In this game, it looks like you're going to be able to do a little bit more than that. And then we've also got secondary customization options here, which is an additional menu, and you've got patch 1 and patch 2, both of which can be worn on the torso, and then you can also have a rank emblem on your torso as well, so presumably on your soldier camo there. And then indeed for the camo itself, there is a modifier for the head, the torso, or the legs, but all available camos are at the moment placeholders from Battlefield 2042. So we don't exactly know what sort of cosmetics we're going to get, except for these two here, which have already been data mined. And clearly, these must be two of the patches that he's referring to. This one is a Finnish one, which would also suggest that the Finnish are going to be some part of a sub-faction within the game. And it says, everybody gangster until the snow starts speaking. I really like that one. Then we've got another one here for the Gripen Jet, be the game changer. I really like the look of these patches, actually. I think they're going in a good direction here, and if the rest of the cosmetics, the camos and etc. are going to follow suit, then we could be onto a winner. As for the characters, he's found 12 separate soldier characters, so we have 8 male and then 4 female faces in the game. So it sounds like you are indeed going to be able to choose whether you want to play as a male soldier or a female soldier with different faces, sort of kit out your soldier's body, if you will, and then you put your skins on top of that. But the number is not final, as there are a few more placeholders. As for the boots, they are always part of the leg cosmetics and cannot be modified independently. Now, he does say that patch 1 default is your class, but the patch 2 one is empty, so maybe that means like patch 1 is always just going to be your class and patch 2 is one that you can customize yourself, although I would think it, more prudent for them to allow you to customize both of them. And then the rank emblem is optional, but it's a fixed texture unlock for every X amount of ranks, but the actual design and the position are unclear. Now, whilst you can sort of mix and match a lot of these things here, he also says there are some sets with fixed parts, so no mix and match, similar to the legendaries in 2042, but that they also could just be a leftover remnant from that game. Reminder, as always, guys, everything we talk about in any of these leaks here is purely speculative, really. Like, I don't doubt that this guy has definitely found them within the game files, but on the other hand, this could all change. A lot of the stuff we're seeing could simply be placeholder from 2042 because they've reused a lot of stuff just to get the build up and running. So always keep that in mind. So all the items have a rarity value of 0, 1, 2, or 3, so that's pretty much expected there. But there are absolutely no models, no textures, or even any item names. At the moment, we've just got placeholders, so, Hams 001, Hams 002, etc. Now, as for unlocking these cosmetics, he's actually only given a few examples, he says, because the list is too long, but here are some of the ways that you will be able to get them. So first of all, we've got mastery, which is, I assume, weapon mastery. So it does sound like the weapon mastery system from 2042 is coming back, where you have to most likely get a certain amount of kills with a weapon, and then you get the mastery badge. And indeed, these weapon mastery tier icons have been data mined earlier. That would seem to corroborate that claim by me. Then we've got quests, aka challenges in-game, or assignments, or whatever they end up being called. Then, of course, as you rank up, you're going to get more cosmetics. Player, I don't exactly know what that means there. Probably, specific soldier cosmetics for the player. Of course, the in-game store. Of course, BP stands for Battle Pass 1 and Battle Pass 2. That's probably 2 different tracks of the Battle Pass, one of them being premium and one of them not. And then we have this new monetization model that EA are planning here called Battlefield Pro. How we're going to pay for this, whether it's going to be monthly, a one-off payment, we don't really know too much about yet, but it seems, again, for that one, there are 2 separate tracks here, as we do have Battlefield Pro 1 and 2. And he does note, by the way, that most IDs of the higher tier cosmetic items have Battle Pass 01 store or Battlefield Pro as unlock criteria. So same as in Battlefield 2042 with the exception of Pro, which means that if you want to be getting, of course, some of the rarer skins, the legendary skins and whatnot, you are going to be spending money in order to acquire those. I don't think any of that is particularly surprising. Of course, we know skins are going to be in the game. Of course, we know EA are going to charge them, even though they're already charging us most likely $70 for the full box price of the game. The only question really remains, what are these skins going to look like? Because I, for one, can tell you that I don't really have a problem buying skins if I think they're cool, and I'm already getting hundreds or thousands of hours of playtime out of the game, even if I've paid full price for the game, right? Because I think when you're at the point you're getting more than 1,000 hours of playtime, maybe it's even worth paying some more. But they've actually got to, like, deliver on those skins. Like, if they just put out the kind of stuff they've been making for 2042, that is just really not going to cut it. I've always felt that, EA and DICE's skin game is just not really up there, is it, when you compare it to a lot of other companies? So, at least speaking from a personal perspective here, they're going to have to do a lot more to entice me to purchase anything. So, that is going to do it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. As always, leave a like down below if you did. Subscribe for more Battlefield, and I will see you guys in another video soon. Bye-bye.